they kept coming up and hassling us to get us out quicker so that they wouldn't be embarrassed by the image of kicking out a diverse group of women and men for having wrong think and for no other reason. And it's considered harassment to have wrong think. And since the thing that was under discussion when Alison spoke up, at the moment that Alison spoke up, was MRAs. The wrong think that we're guilty of is acknowledging that men are human and that human rights and human dignity and the things that are supposed to be expectations that you have if you are a human being, that those apply to men as much as they do to women, and that it hurts both women and men if men are not recognized equally in those standards. We are human.
They knew before we walked through those doors who we were. They knew when they handed us our badges. They knew when they hung that sign. And they knew when I contacted them to change that name. And they knew when they printed this program. We were not in stealth mode.
So on the Friday, when we came in, we didn't quite know what was going to happen at first, so I was milling around, wondering what was happening with the security guards talking to us. I didn't know exactly what was happening until the game came back from that first encounter, and I was stood in the booth, and the main security fellows said, right, you have to pack up and get your stuff out immediately. At that point, I sort of froze up and had a hot flush at the same time, which I've since then managed to define as that was me getting sad and angry at the same time. Now, I get angry a lot of the time for the cameras. I get sad sometimes, but I don't often get sad and angry at the same time. And then we had to pack up the booth, which is much like when we were packing up. I mean, when we were setting out the booth, but considerably worse when you consider the feeling of not having anything to do, not being able to do anything. And ever since Friday, I've had the weird feeling like you're on the verge of, not even on the verge of tears, but you can't even express the tears. I remember when Hannah was comforting Alison, they were pretty much hugging on the floor, and at that moment in time, Sage and I were hugging, both with presumably quite red, shaky faces. And, you know, since then we've talked about, you know, people have asked me to give Alison a hug, and, you know, on that video, people have commented several times, give her another hug, will you? There's been a dog pile of hugs ever since then. And that's because we don't have hug boxes. We live on far ends of corridors, thousands of miles away. That's why we like hugging each other, because there aren't many of us. And we're very socially awkward people.
That morning, we started hearing from Rachel about things that were going on Twitter that were alluding to us possibly being evicted. I thought to myself, there is a very high probability that there will be an attempt to evict us. But I didn't think that they would do it this quickly and without much resistance on the end of those who are in charge of who stays and who goes, and without them at least having a conversation with us and trying to get our side of the story. However, it turned out that before we even arrived at the building, the display, the booth that Alison had put so much time and effort and money into was about halfway dismantled. Anna was coming with us as part of that shift. I asked her to pose in front of the dismantling of our booth display because she was wearing her Vivian James costume, and I thought I should make a statement. I have the opportunity, I have the drive, I'm gonna do this now. I want to let everyone know what's happening in real time. You know, it was very disheartening. I really had hoped that we would get to speak to more of our patrons in the convention, at the expo, and maybe even get just curious parties interested in either the Xenospora comic or what we do at the Honeybadgers Brigade, just like have the dialogue and see what falls out. On the plus side, everybody's talking about it. We actually got really lucky. Right after I took the photo, there was a patron at our booth, and he was hoping to get some merchandise. He was hoping to meet us, and he got very lucky and caught us at the end. And we had him take some pictures and buy some things. And he was actually the guy who started the expo date. We've managed to get the conversation started and going to a much greater effect than we would have if they would just left us alone. Time will tell whether or not this was worth it.
I was just like, yeah, no, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We will be kicked out, no matter how well we behave. This is actually, us getting kicked out is actually not a terrible, terrible thing. It's not the worst thing in the world. There's going to be so much buzz over this. There are going to be so many people looking at her comic because of this. And it sucks that it had to happen this way. But I believe she deserves attention, and now she's getting it, and she's getting a lot of positive attention out of this. If any of you want to go to the News Talk 7070 website, I'm sure they have a website where they have archives of their shows, and listen to the broadcast of her interview. She is absolutely astounding. She was astounding in the panel at the convention. She was absolutely brilliant. She said it so concisely, and was so eloquent about what she was trying to convey. And the fact that they saw it as trash that needed to be kicked out the freaking back door just shows what kind of people they are. She was so reasonable and so calm and so erudite and so eloquent. And she was absolutely the same way. I listened to her 20-minute or so interview on talk radio in Calgary this morning. It was absolutely stunning how well she represents the point of view that we have, which is that we don't want anybody to be silenced, not feminists, not conservatives, not Christians, not anybody. We want everybody to have a chance to have their voice heard. That's why we love her so much. Take what you've been dealt and turn it into something awesome the way you always do, because that's what we do. We take the shit we're dealt, we sift through it, and we find the diamond, and then we wear it.
If you think of a general in a war, and you're going forth, and your soldiers are dying, and you can't really stop and mourn, because you have to keep going. You have to win the war, and you have to win the battle. And so it's been pretty much like that for the past few days. There's a reason why the other side damsels, why our current other side damsels so much, because the squeaky wheel does get the attention. And if we don't show the pain that's been caused to us, then nobody will necessarily take the time to look into it. I made the decision to be okay with showing my emotions, which is not something I'm used to, unless it's tears of gratitude, in which case it will be tears of sadness and disappointment, because I'm a huge nerd, massive con lover, ever since my first exposure to, I believe, Mid-South Con, and then Dragon Con 2008. Maybe Dragon Con was the first, I'm not sure. And since then, it's been a yearly experience. It's something that I save my money for every year. Suddenly getting into cosplaying as a cosplayer, it's something I put my money and time and effort. Me and my partner both put our money and time and effort to build cosplay that I can have fun in. And so this experience and excursion out to Canada, my first time in Canada, I was extremely excited about that. And of course, I was reimbursed by the crowdfunding for the ticket and my stay here in the con, but of course, putting money into being away from work and the costumes, it was, overall on the balance, somewhat of a financial hit, but it didn't matter to me at all, because I get to go to a con. That's, I always have to spend a little bit of money on the con. It's what happens, and it's a great opportunity to be able to debut my cosplays. I made cosplays specifically for this event. I was going to wear on Saturday. I was really looking forward to, and we had a great time on Thursday. Everybody enjoyed themselves and had a pleasant experience, and I was very pleasantly surprised. My cynicism was pleasantly surprised by how well we were received, and given that we're sitting right across from the customer service and our booth was there, and I was in a Honeybadger outfit on the first day with the mask and of our logo, and we had a beautiful, gorgeous display that was there, and all the Vivian art on the poster and some shirts. And it was great time. Everybody was nice. And it was Rachel's first time as well. And I was really looking forward to not only experiencing Canada and Calgary Con for the first time, but also being at a con with someone whose first time it is, because it really brings back that joy, you know, of the con. So that was my personal, this thing that happened. I'm still in shock over how little actually occurred to warrant such an egregious, okay, so I didn't get to enjoy the con, and 5, 6, 8, actually total of 8 people got their exhibitor badges taken without any kind of other badge or VIP ticket or anything given to actually be able to enjoy the con as visitors. We were not given any opportunity such as that. That was extremely disappointing, and having to pack up and leave on behalf of my friend, on behalf of Honeybadgers, that I came here to support, and to see how much work and love was put into this display, and also that we were here is to create a community and a space to show people that it is okay to come out and to discuss their ideas and to stand for creative expression and freedom of ideas and open market of ideas, in fact, and something that is supposed to be the perfect avenue for it, comics and nerd expression. And to be able to provide that community and show that we're here and that, you know, everybody's welcome and true, you know, quality, expo equality, we were there for that. And to see us kicked out for that, and for being mras, I guess, for saying that men have rights and men have feelings and they're human too, and we should maybe not be evil to them. To not only be kicked out for that, but to have someone who put in so much into her project and this display and this booth, and monetarily and emotionally, and just to see all of that ripped away and all of the financial opportunities denied, and to see that happen to someone that I've grown close to is another thing altogether. And actually focusing on somebody else's pain really helped me ignore all this, and really helped me not get stuck into the mental negative spiral of how much I've lost, how much we've all lost, how much money was spent, how many people tried to come and see us, how many people could only afford to come on Sunday. And we're really looking forward to the cosplays and to everything, and to have that done to us for what? And so the thing about it is, nerd cons and conventions like this, for people like us, they are a safe place. They are a place of trust and of love and of letting go of our anxieties, because we know that there will be people there like us, that we're all struggling together to overcome anxieties and to bond. And it makes it easy actually to bond over topics that we all grew up loving. And for these specific individuals who are involved in banning Alison and kicking the whole booth out, have violated that trust. And shame on you. Shame on you for bringing that into our place, into a place of love and inclusion, and a place where we can love and be okay with each other. Shame on you. I will maintain the positive attitude, which I was sticking with, the attitude that this is actually great for us in a certain way. It shows that the message that we were there to spread really needs to be said right now, this very now, that there is a silencing hand over the mouths of gamer girls, of anyone who doesn't fit the narrative, man, woman, minority, doesn't matter who it is. And I will not let this stop me or give me a negative feeling about other conventions. I will continue to see and expect the good and the open-mindedness in other places that I go. And hopefully this will not happen again.
And for me, when I was younger, the thing that pretty much saved my life was geek culture, was the comics and the fantasy books, everything. And, you know, so coming to a convention for the first time and being part of the Nerdcast and doing all these things, I felt like I was myself for the first time.
And I didn't have to be anybody else. I didn't have to just hide in the corner and pretend like I was invisible. I could be me. I remember going in the plane and seeing all the little houses as we went into Calgary. And from a distance, they seemed so peaceful. But I knew deep down there were going to be people there that just had so much misunderstanding. I had this deep desire to bridge that divide between them, to, find some sort of common goals. And that's why I, got with the Honeybadgers. Because I'm a fucking wretched idealist. And so going there, I knew in the back of my mind that there was a possibility that something could go down. But in the moment, looking out of the plane, everything seemed really peaceful. But I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking how happy everyone was in that moment. And there were these people who came to the booth, and they were, some of them had serious anxiety. When we were going, we're driving out there, Brian was still, optimistic, because he probably believed, like I did, that they were going to ask some questions and then they'd find Alison and everything, and, not being the horrible person that they were saying online. And they seemed to revel online in the idea that we were being shut down. And all I knew what to do was to tell the people who had, sent us out here, like, listen, they're trying to shut us down. Maybe you guys, can say, listen, we're not a hate group or something. So I said that. All I knew what to do in this situation was to try and be on social media, because no one else was probably doing it as hard at the moment. But when we were going on our way in, I was recording, hoping that when I turned the corner, the booth was going to still be there, and that we weren't going to have any problems getting in. We didn't, but we were worried that was a possibility. And turning the corner, everybody was already tearing things down, and I already knew what was going on. It was so ridiculous because we were within 5 feet, I think, or just a little more than that, of the staff table, who saw everything that we did, and which was nothing more than talking to people who only wanted to have those discussions. I wandered around on the first day, talking to different exhibitors and things like that, and they wouldn't have known that I'm an MRA. I just talked to them about Sherlock and Doctor Who, and I complimented them on their artwork because, I know what it's like. So I complimented those. I thought we're doing a good job. And I said, listen, you're doing fantastic. Don't worry. And so seeing them take it down, I was kind of, it's like an out-of-body experience. I'm like, they can't possibly be taking it down. We'll talk to them. We'll do something. No. And they were already publishing articles, and nobody asked us. Nobody interviewed us about all this. No. They already had the narrative, and they were playing it up. But it didn't hit me until I saw the MD booth. Everything was gone. And the thing many people don't know is my boyfriend does the coloring for Xenosaura. He goes in and colors every single panel. He puts hours of work in. And he, had sleepless nights in some cases where he just, can't sleep until the work is done. And in his mind, and it's him, it's his work ethic. He can't let certain things go. He's got to finish something. It's a little bit obsessive, but And thinking I'm gonna have to tell him what really happened. I haven't told him the full part of it. And I walked out with Alison, and there was that feeling of powerlessness because I couldn't make them happy. I didn't know how to make things better. And all I could think of is, we got to do a meetup or something. We got to do a meetup, and we're going to meet all these people. And it was fantastic. We had something back, and that was the thing that I enjoyed about all this, is meeting you. You who sent me here, a normal person, all I do every week is use what I know how to do, and that's right. To do my part in all this, to make this right, to sort of bridge the divide between the genders, because I know what it's like to have betrayal that is so painful and deep that you can't express it, and that you are entirely inconsolable, and all you can do to people is just sort of hold it inside and pretend like nothing's wrong. I do this because I see myself in the people that come to us who have felt this deep pain it's indescribable, where you do anything to just escape it for a little while, because if you thought about it all the time, you just wouldn't be able to function. And I know what that feels like. And maybe somehow, if I speak into the void, they'll know that they're not alone. I, in some cases, just slink away because I'm afraid that if anyone knew that I was just this socially awkward, anxiety-ridden, clinically depressed individual, they wouldn't look up to me as much. And I felt terrible knowing that my pictures were being tweeted by these people. They're like, oh, disgusting. The work that everybody worked on so hard and killed themselves making. Disgusting.
Everybody knows the events now, so I won't go through it again. And I'll say that it didn't end when we were evicted. After we took the C train home, I still felt a sense of being completely alienated from the society around me. It was very... You don't know who's staring at you because they just are part of these belief systems, and they're looking at you like you have that scarlet letter of being a social outcast. And I've experienced that before. I've experienced that throughout my working, throughout high school, throughout earlier years in school, part of college, just that behavior of being dehumanized and not being seen as human. And when, even after the convention, when I just went to a camera store for my husband to try to find some cables that he's working on, creating a new method of taking pictures. And I was walking in the camera store and people would be looking at me, and I didn't know if they were thinking of me as being less than human. And because I knew that there were so many articles out there, and I haven't read any of them, but I know that they exist, that were essentially calling me despicable and disgusting and a horrible person. And as much as I will not stop advocating for what I believe in, I won't say that that doesn't affect me. And maybe it's not giving a fuck, but giving a fuck, but still badgering on. And I could enjoy and have fun with. So I always created these installations that had an element of gaming in them, an element of choice for the audience, for the people who went through it, or were just a really, really cool experience. I've always loved creating installations. I've always loved the thought of people going through something I've created and having fun with it. So over the 5 months, I built that 24-foot backdrop, or I actually got it printed. I didn't build it myself. I got it printed. I figured out how to do, what kind of effect that I wanted in. I wanted to show something really. I always loved working in LEDs, so I wanted to do something really cool with LEDs. And I researched all kinds of stretch shapes that I could put LEDs in to create something really beautiful. And I found this funnel shape, and it looks somewhat like the spaceships, some of the spaceships that I use in my store, and I thought that would be really cool. And then My husband helped me with the programming, the LEDs, and also the construction of it. It's a lot of his work in this as well. And so I erected that. I probably put too much into it. We ended up having to strip part of it down because it just didn't look like it was going to work. But what was left was, I thought it was really nice. It was really cool. I enjoyed looking at it, at least. I hoped other people would enjoy it too. To say that I only went there to cause a disruption, why would I have built such an extensive installation? I honestly thought I would be able to be there. I honestly thought I would be able to be there for 4 days and people could see what I had made. If you really think that we went there just to infiltrate a culture that we love and we build things for and we create for, and the people that want to see us and experience the same problems that we have, and we are building these things for them, we are infiltrating this culture? Why would I have created such an elaborate display? I was doing it because I want to see people happy. I want to see people enjoy themselves. I don't want to see them afraid, and I don't want to see them silenced. And I saw people who were terrified to come to our booth. Those signs, you say you're about equality. That isn't equality. And I was also looking forward to sharing it with my fellow hosts. I was actually really proud of it. I was looking forward to them seeing it. And now that they're telling me that they really liked it, actually I'm really happy that they did. I want to create with fellow creators. I want to see creators free to create what their vision. And I don't want to see fans or people in the community afraid. I will stand and try to stop that wherever I see it. No one should be at a convention and afraid to go to any booth. That's not what the space is for. And the fact that it's become that, the question really is, who is the infiltrator? And you know what? No one is. Because all you have to do is open your heart to just people and just accepting them, even if they have opinions that differ from yours. We're all human beings. We all love, well, not all of us love cat photos, but a good portion of us love cat photos or dog photos. I think that covers everyone. Or baby photos. You know, we all love cute things, unless we're sociopathic, but, you know, they have their own problems. We all bleed. We all want to have fun. We all want to connect. And we all want to feel safe. And we also all want to be able to express ourselves. And that's what I want. And that's what I want for this community.